Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So come on in, get a seat, hold on tight. I just threw the show that I had planned out of the window because I'm gonna say it one more time. Somebody wake me when we free. Because what we are now is so indicative of bygone days and all of the madness. I've had a couple of people call me today, and I'm gonna speak on it. And it was the reason why I kind of threw out the show that I had planned. But in time, I'll just reveal all that it is, and so forth and so on. Um, Philosophy. Again, I find myself at the utmost of philosophy. Let me say this one more again. Again, I find myself at the utmost of philosophy. Um, Man, I know everybody knows what's going on. Um, I'm looking at what's going on. I'm listening to other talking heads, prognosticators, political pundits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody seems to be feeling the same way I feel. It doesn't take a political mind to figure out um, that the Dems have blown it. They're blowing it. They're blowing it. They're blowing it. They're blowing it. They almost blew it. So we got about 117 days. And I feel like I'm sitting in the cockpit of Apollo 13 and we're starting to do this countdown. But instead of going to the moon or Mars or outer space, we're going to Pluto. And Pluto, just in case now, most of you guys my age, when we had 9 planets and Pluto was in our solar system. Well, they're saying Pluto is no longer in our solar system, so things have changed. So where we headed is far beyond boldly where no man has gone before. I don't even think Kirk has been here. So with that being said, when things happen, I don't claim to be an empath, but I do fight other people's fight. That's why I do what I do. I fight for you guys. I fight for your children, your grandchildren, just as I fight for my own. And in doing so, I want them to have the same thing that my parents wanted for me and us. My moms and dad bust their behinds to make this world a better place for my generation. And I think we owe that to our children, our grandchildren, and our children's children. We do that by behaving like productive, active, proactive elders who know. Um, I keep saying that we're in a place now where we're in uncharted territory. We have no idea of what's going on. We have no idea where we're going to be. And so many of us are thinking that we're headed towards, you know, a showdown, a civil war, a political uprising, um, all of these things that might happen if those people that are willing to do anything don't win. So, how do we find ourselves here? And more importantly, how do we find our way to a better place? I'm throwing caution to the wind tonight. I want to see what happens? I have no format tonight. I have no format whatsoever because um, three people called me with a story I was trying to ignore. And I just felt like I couldn't ignore it. And once I digested it and I started to research it, I, I took it on a different way. Like I say, I always advocate for young black men. And as biased as it sounds, heterosexual black men. Not anything against homosexual black men or homosexual men in general, or gays or anything like that. But we, as heterosexual men of color, black men, are in a specific place where there are not a lot of voices that advocate for the things that we need. We don't belong to a protected group called LBGT and or women or any of these groups where our specific concerns are being addressed. And with that being said, it's something that's near and dear my heart. But in doing that, I care about the little girls. You've heard me say 1,000 times, no young lady should be looking for a daddy in the street. I say that tenfold for little black girls because I have three black daughters of various hues. But one of the things you guys don't know, I don't talk about all of the things that God has had me do simply because it's not to be bragged about, discussed, or what have you. But I worked as a guardian at litem. And the quick and dirty of that is I worked as a representative to advocate for abused and neglected children in juvenile court. And there was one case that stuck with me, and it has a lot to do with where we are now as a country. And I'm hoping that where we are now will piss you off the way it pissed me off. And the difference with my pissosity is when I get angry, there's a reason for it. And my anger lasts. It's not just a fleeting emotion. It lasts because I take it on and I really feel like I have to do something about it. I'm talking around the bush. It's 8 past 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and start the show and I'll get into it. I want to say good evening and welcome to the show. Thank you guys for spending your Thursday nights with me. As always, I say I am truly humbled that all of the things that you could be doing on a Thursday night, you choose to be here with me, getting this word, this political word that dominates how we spend our monies, how our monies are spent, how we live, and in a lot of cases, how a lot of us die way too young. So I'm truly humbled that you show up here week in and week out to hear what it is that I have to say. If it's your first time, I want to say hello. If you've been here before, I want to say welcome back. My name is Hank Batiste. This show is called OMITDALOGIC. This shit makes no sense. And tonight is the epitome of shit not making sense. And I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head are screaming, In this climate, let's plan for the worst and pray, but we have to act. Let's pray for the best. We've got some rough days ahead, people. We are starting to see the repercussions of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And we're seeing the worst case scenario thereof. Mass shootings are still commonplace. Mass shootings are as commonplace as high gas prices. Police abuse and power and abuse of power is still running rampant. We've got 117 days to the midterm election. So before I do anything else, I'm going to say make sure that you are registered. Don't take for granted that your I's have been dotted, your T's have been crossed. These trumpublicans have done everything under the sun to stifle any opposition. And that starts at the voting polls. I beat Nancy Pelosi up. I beat up Joe Biden. I beat up Chuck Schumer. And when you listen to the pundits, the political pundits, when you listen to the talking heads, everybody is pretty much saying what I've been saying. This huge lead that we had in the House of Representatives under Nancy Pelosi's leadership is falling by the wayside. Nothing short of a miracle is going to keep the trumpublicans from taking over the House of Representatives again. And I said trumpublicans because if you notice, the only person that's been quieter than Nancy Pelosi has been Kevin McCarthy. Why? Because he feels like it's in the bag. He don't have to do anything. It's been done for him. The gavel has all but been handed to him on a silver platter of empty agendas. For all intents and purposes, I'm saying these January 6 hearings, I feel like that chick Sunshine. I've heard it all before. Take that shit somewhere. Because it's a tree that bears no fruit. So all we're doing is wasting money on these so-called hearings. But the first thing that's going to happen if and when the trumpublicans and McCarthy takes over the House is these empty ass hearings on January 6th. They're going to go away. So stop patronizing America. Do away with them now. Bannon, Trump, and all of these other folks, we already know what they did. I told you in my spoken word that I wrote on the day of the inauguration, when so many of you said, why are you so pessimistic? Why are you so down on this? Why can't you be happy? I told you, I tried, don't worry, be happy. In the words of James Weldon Johnson, lift every voice. Why the hell are we still waiting for heaven to rain? Why can't we take action right here, right now? So we've got Congress talking about a bipartisan piece of legislation to make mass shootings and active shooters like an Amber Alert. Are you kidding me? So now everybody's phone is going to go off and say, danger, Master Will, danger. What is that going to do? We've got a Uvalde, Texas police department, chief of police, and all of those policemen. And nobody is being prosecuted. Nobody has been reprimanded. Nobody is paying for those kids dying when it could have been avoided. If a little 100-pound mama, after being threatened, could climb her behind in the window of the school and free her two children, please explain to me. She had no vest, she had no weapons. All she had was the sheer determination to make her kids safe. So if she could do that, and the cops have taken an oath to protect, to protect, to protect, and then serve, and not one of them broke ranks and said, you know what? I know what the chief said. I know what the commissioner said, but I took an oath. And I feel it's my duty to go up in there. I'm scared because I'm going in without backup. See, cops do nothing without backup. This little 100-pound woman, all she had was a mother's love and the faith that she would be all right or she would die trying. Not one cop had that kind of resolve, a dedication to duty. Not one broke rank. And they're talking about seeking the death penalty, or the guy in Buffalo, New York. He's been indicted for capital murder, and they're talking about seeking the death penalty. I said it before, I'm going to say it one more again. Mass shootings will stop when mass shootings and hate crimes are made a capital offense punishable by death. Then these little knuckleheads will stop feeling like they're doing a service and like heroes and be treated like the pariahs and the little cowards that they truly are. So I have a problem with the cops because I'm a black man. I'm 6 feet tall, 265 or 67 pounds, depending on what I eat. And I still look over my shoulder every time I come to a red light and I see a cop in any direction. But see, I don't just have to worry about the cops. If I'm driving a Genesis, even if I'm driving a pickup truck, I'm looking over my shoulder for Pookie and Ray Ray and everybody else who's too lazy to get off their asses and work and look at taking my shit via carjacking or otherwise. So yeah, I'm pissed. I'm pissed to the utmost of pissosity and beyond. I'm Buzz Lightyear pissed. Infinity and beyond pissosity. I worked as a guardian ad litem. I advocated for abused and neglected children. So let me get into this shit. One of my duties was to make sure that all resources that were available to protect children when they were abused, they were neglected, and in any shape, form, or fashion, that it was done. It wasn't my job to prosecute, because if I was exacting discipline, a punishment to the offenders, and it's the reason why I never became a cop, it would have been vigilante at best. It would have been biblical at worst. The worst case I saw was reminiscent of what's happening now. There was a 12-year-old Hispanic child, 12 years old. There was some discussion whether she had been sexually abused by her brother and her stepdad. And the confusion stemmed from whether it had been going on since she was 5 or when she was 7. And the mom did nothing to protect this little girl because I cannot make it up. This little girl was the product of rape. So her mom found it hard to love and protect her. I have a Hispanic girlfriend. She told me that she, as a child, she had to, when her brothers would call her inside, she had to run. She made sure that she was never alone with her brothers because she was afraid that her brothers would sexually abuse her. And it's not just a Hispanic thing. It's not just that. So don't think I'm picking on one group. Every family has somebody. When there's a family get together, there's a Christmas or Thanksgiving celebration, everybody said, "Don't leave them kids alone with so and so." I don't remember who it was in my family. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I know one thing about the women in my family, they were no joke. They were better with a knife than a ninja is with his katana, his sword. I said all of that to say this. This little girl was 12 years old. And I didn't trust myself alone with her because she had been so conditioned that anytime a man was nice to her, she felt it was her way of paying him or saying thank you was with sex. 12 years old. She's so distorted. See, I'm trying to talk about the police and I'm trying to talk about mass murders and I'm trying to talk about all of these other things. And I had a show laid out. And then 3 people called me. And everybody said, "Man, look, I don't know if you're going to do this tonight, but there's this 10-year-old, and yeah, I know a little something about that." But the questions I had was A, as a journalist, and B, as a dad. Because I said, how does a 10-year-old or how does a rapist have access to a 10-year-old? Where were the parents? And what's the relationship of the rapist to this little girl. And then as a father, and I said time and time again, I know grown women. I've dated women. I was married to a woman who had been molested, not sexual, well, okay, yeah, sexually, not sexual intercourse, but had been sexually molested, touched by people in her family, by men in her family that were supposed to be looking out for her. She said a cousin and an uncle. And I know how this woman was still damaged years later. And this was a thing that was private between her and the people she chose to share it with. And then I think about this little 10-year-old girl. And right now, nobody's telling her name. But the trumpublicans put so much pressure on the media because this is testing Roe v. Wade and shining a light on the Supreme Court. And that coward called Clarence Summers, where's he now? Where's Kavanaugh? Where's Roberts? Well, all of these, where's Amy Coney Barrett? What are those 6 Supreme Court justices? Where are they now? They say, oh, no, this is a false story. They're just saying this because they don't like Roe v. Wade being overturned and this, they are sore losers. And that knucklehead, I'm not going to give his name. It starts with a JJ. That's all I'm going to call him. He's a white dude. And he was a wrestling coach, and somehow he became a senator. At least Herschel Walker, as much as I despise the post-concussive knucklehead puppet, at least he won a Heisman Trophy. The media put so much pressure. The trumpublicans put so much pressure on the media that they released the name of the rapist. That's 2 keystrokes on a computer from finding out the identity of this little girl. I'm pissed to pissosity and beyond simply because if there are, and I have a lot of women here, and I don't need a show of hands. You need not divulge your secrets or anything. But I promise you, everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice knows of somebody who has been abused, molested, sexually assaulted, or otherwise. And some of you, you're going to take that secret to your grave, and that's your business. If you choose to share it with the men that you care about, if you shared it with a man and he looked at you differently, he's a punk. So when I'm not going to walk up and slap the shit out of Chris Rock because I'm not going to be manipulated. That's not protecting a woman. Protecting a woman is making sure that your daughter, your sister, your granddaughter, your niece, your cousin is not subjected to this type of behavior. That's what protecting a woman is. So Will Smith, if you're listening, bro, that's what it's all about. Any other man, if you have any questions, that's what it's all about. So now this little girl is never going to have a normal life. Because I promise you, before the week is out, and today is Thursday, even though the case is supposed to be sealed, the information is going to get out. So who's protecting that little girl? Certainly not the people that were supposed to protect her on the front end, because if that were the case, she wouldn't have got assaulted and raped to begin with. So how is she to have a normal life when everybody and their mama is going to be judging her? Everybody and their mama is going to know her business, and she doesn't have any privacy. And here's, when I tell you about 117 days, let me explain something to you. Shit is crazy now. It's bananas. Gas prices are high, inflation is high, interest rates are high, which means people that could have qualified for a house loan or mortgage last year, they won't be able to qualify this year. All of that is bananas. The last 2 years under Nancy tutelage, under the guise of Joe Manchin being a quote unquote Democrat, wink, wink, as crazy as it has been for the last 2 years, if the trumpublicans take over Congress again, but baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm hard on Pelosi, I'm hard on Biden, I'm hard on the Democrats, because sadly, they're the hope that we have. It's the lesser of two evils. I talked about it. So what we have to do is we have to throw logic, we have to omit the logic, and we have to go back in there and vote for these inept bad leaders, elected officials, or whatever you want to call them, because they are truly the lesser of the two evils. The trumpublicans has the audacity, the mitigated gall, and I could use some other words, but they have the nerve to want to go back now, the attorney general, and I'm not going to give them any god darn oxygen on my show, but now they have the nerve to want to go back and look at the doctor to make sure that the doctor filed the proper paperwork, or the doctor is going to be prosecuted. Are you kidding me? So when I tell you we've got 117 days, when I tell you it's the lesser of two evils, when I tell you I know the shit don't make sense, but this is what we have to do, I know you're tired. I know you're overwhelmed. I know you're beside yourself. I know you say this shit makes no sense. But what I say to you right here, right now, is we keep getting a glimpse. Because remember, I told you what was going to happen. I told you what was going to happen when Joe Biden took office. And I said he had about 6 months to get those factions, then those fractions together, or everything that he called his agenda for the soul of America and building back better, that it was going to fall by the wayside. I told you that. I told you that Mitch McConnell had been stacking the Supreme Court. And I said that the best thing that Biden could have done when he had the momentum was what they call stacking the Supreme Court, which meant he could have appointed two or three judges to the Supreme Court and changed the number from 9 to 12. And if he had done that, then we wouldn't be in this situation. But now it's too late. He doesn't have the political clout. He doesn't have the political power. He doesn't have the political backing because he never got Manchin in control. He never took control of those that we would call subordinates. So if you're the president, you're the CEO, and Chuck Schumer is your COO, I don't even wouldn't know what I would call Nancy. But these are the people that you would look to. But this little girl, suddenly she has become a political pawn. I keep telling you this shit is chess, it's not checkers. And everybody is going to be using her to make their point. If anything, if it were up to me, to hell with this January 6th, everybody that invested in Pfizer, everybody that invested in all of these vaccines, everybody that's been trading on Wall Street from Pelosi on down, said monies would be confiscated, and would be used to offset the deficit, the national deficit, because they are ill-gotten gains, a poisonous fruit, fruit from a poisonous tree. So we got 117 days, folks. Tonight's show was supposed to be called, notice I told you this shit was downhill. Tonight's show was simply called A Time Warp or Warp Time. Midterms, 117 days. So here we are. Got a 10-year-old whose life is totally screwed. Was she the most hurtful thing with all of those things that I talked about? The fact that it is no longer a private issue, the fact that she's going to have to deal with this the rest of her life, the fact that those people that were supposed to protect her are not going to pay for what happened to her, the fact that she's become a political pawn in this whole game, the fact that not one person from the Supreme Court that voted to overturn Roe v. Wade has stepped up. The fact that more than 50% of America is under the age of 50. So they have no idea of what life was like more than 50 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was the law of the land, before a woman could go out and get a legal or safe abortion. They have no idea of a woman going and paying somebody who had no real medical training taking a coat hanger, burning the end and trying to snatch the fetus out of the woman's womb. Burning the coat hanger to try to cauterize the blood supply so that she didn't bleed to death. And if it wasn't done, she bled to death. If it wasn't done properly, she died of an infection, and so forth and so on. Because these people couldn't write a script for penicillin or anything else. Because these people was performing a medical surgical operation on a table in some poorly lit room. And if any of you've worked in the hospital under the best conditions with the finest surgeons and every piece of surgical equipment known to man, things still go wrong. People under the age of 50, 55, 60 have no idea what's on the horizon. The thing that pisses me off is this little 10-year-old girl will not be the last. 117 days. That's all I got for you. Shit makes no sense. I'm trying to make sense of it. Please do me a favor. Go to my YouTube, sign up, subscribe, hit the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell. Share this podcast with others, because this is the kind of message that should go viral. Not some TikTok of me dancing and shaking my ass and telling jokes. This is the kind of message that should go viral, because this is how we start to get better people in Congress. This is how we start to hold people accountable. This is how we start to provide oversight so that that little 10-year-old girl can have some kind of normalcy. So, my brothers, I'm speaking to you first. This is how we protect our women. Started from down here. And if we protect them from here, when they're like here, they'll know what it is to be protected. They'll know what it is to have a daddy or a father figure. Because you don't have to be a biological dad to impact a young lady's life. And hopefully, by the time she's here, she has some understanding of what it is to be protected. Even when she says, "Daddy, I'm grown. I can handle myself." I said, "Little girl, you are 40 years old, but I'm never going to stop." It's always imparting. I will see you next week right here. Saint Baptiste Place, Saint Baptiste time. Share this video, please. As always, important, I wish you love. I wish you peace. Like I say, I love you. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Hair grease. I'm out of here. Good night, people.